Okay, welcome to a new video, in this case about the a6500 and touchscreen, mostly related to video. It will be kind of a longish video simply because there's a lot of weirdness that I already found and well, we need to talk about it a bit. The audio is a little bit different than normal because I'm not using the Rode Video Kit wireless setup, but I'm using, let me take it off, so sorry for the sound, this cheap $25 Sony lav mic, because I'm lazy today, like always, but I'm lazy today. And I think this might also be a good one if you can still find them. Somehow Sony stopped making them or they don't sell them in all markets, but if you can find them, they are probably a cheap and nice solution to do your audio. I'm looking at the audio meters and I think they are doing fine. So hopefully you agree. Let me hook it up a bit better. So there we are. Should be okay. Okay, anyway, so here let's get going on the touchscreen. So the 6500 has a touchscreen which we wanted for video, and so we're going to first talk about video, and if I have time we will also show some things that I found in picture mode, and that's why I say it might be a little bit longer. So the first thing that we did, we put it in video mode. I now still have it on 1080p. I will later show you why I am doing this, because there's a reason for it. But let's first check out some of the features. First, what we want, of course, is touch to focus. So let's see if that works. And indeed, that works quite smoothly. Remember, the speed to be able to set this, you can set that in some of your settings. It's now a little bit hunting because, well, that is a combination, of course, of the lens and how you set up the speed. Nothing weird that we are experiencing here. So that works. Now the second thing, which is a little bit less obvious, is that you can also do a lock on focus. So I programmed this on the C1 button. Let me see if my hand is in the picture. Well, it's a bit dark, but it should be in the picture. So if I press the C1 button, it tells me, sorry, that was the C2 button. My mistake. So the C1 button, then I can turn on lock on focus, right? Center lock on focus. Now this is a bit weird. It was already working on a 6300, by the way, but you had to move your point by hand. That is still asked to point to the middle, which doesn't make any sense if you see what's happening next. So I will press the center button and it now almost randomly puts a block somewhere and focuses on it. But now I can touch and it will focus on different things, right? And let me move it a little bit, you will see that indeed it's tracking that focus. So let's take the far away object, and indeed it sort of tracks that object. And let's try a third one. Well, I was aiming for the box, but so let's do the box one. There's the box, and it will try to track that as good as it can. So that's kind of an important feature, because then you can sort of move from one focus to another focus point by using this tracking mechanism. If you are want to do it between two, let's say an interview, doing an interview, you will see that this will be quite useful. It was shown in a few reviews that it was not working. I think it was just that they didn't find it no harm done, but it is working just fine. Now, one thing that you can do is also, now it's doing it live, right? So, and that's already quite nice. So again, if you want to stop doing this, you just turn this, I have to move this wire a bit, sorry. I also connected up an external monitor, I will show you later why. If you turn this off again, to me that, by the way, also doesn't make sense, right? So if you go into this mode, right, you have to basically flip it on and off. Why don't you, Sony, please? If I double click, just turn it on, double click, turn it off, right? Doesn't make any sense not to do that. So now it's turned off and you can see that we have touch to focus. Now you can set it up in a menu that you can either have the touchscreen active or your pad active, right? So it still works that if you now press the middle button, that you can still sort of move your dot around. And this is not unimportant because it gives you the option to already go to the correct point and then decide to focus. I use back button focusing, so I've put it over here. If I press here, it will focus now. Why is this nice? Let me aim the camera a bit back. Hopefully not dropping the other camera or the other monitor. So if I, for example, now move my point to this one, you see that it focuses live, which it was not doing before. So like always, fun, right? So there is a possibility, and now I'm not sure if you, if you put it in this mode, you'll see that I can select the point, right? But it only focuses the moment that I click, right? So that's kind of an interesting way to do it, because if you do it like this, it's doing it live, but you might already want to select your point before you actually switch, right? So if you hit the middle button, then you can sort of go there, right? And only when you are ready for it, you select the focusing mechanism and it will go there, right? So again, now it's doing it live because it automatically goes back to that. I think that's an option, by the way, which I just figured out probably where it's for. So let's check this live, because what it does, I think now if I do this one time, right? So if I do it like this and I go there, it will focus there. But the next time it will do it live. I'm assuming. No. Yeah, once it finds focus, you see it will now doing it live. Right? There's an option which I was unclear what it was doing. Let me try to find it back quickly. It was called autofocus clear, and I forgot what it was doing. I think it's this one. If you turn this off, I'm guessing it will stop this behavior, right? So now if I click live, it goes live. But I think if I put it in this mode, right? So let's say the pointer moving mode, right? And I select, it will go, I think automatically stay in this mode. No, so, but I think there's a possibility that it automatically returns to that mode. But if once you get used to it, it's quite easy, right? So you can click it like this, you can click it like this, or you can say, no, I want to just already have my point ready, though I know where it's going, and only then decide to let it focus on that point. So let's also check if that works in the tracking mode, because I think it does. So here we go. Again, turn lock on, aim it randomly somewhere, because, well, now I pick that one, and you can see that I can live sort of click, and it will keep tracking these objects because it's in tracking mode. But I'm guessing if I hit the middle button first, now it actually cancelled it, so it's still doing it, so the cancel is kind of weird. So you see there's still some weirdness going on. So, but now it goes here, it goes there, and I'm guessing that if I have no idea how I got it into the other mode, because I know it's possible, although I'm not sure, to do it also that you can select it first and then only let it track there. So the same thing it was doing in the not lock-on mode. So anyway, once I figure out how to do that, I think it's less useful, to be fair, but if you want to do that, it's still possible. So again, this is in tracking mode, right? I can also track it by hand. If I can't track it by hand because I have to be in this mode. So I guess it has to do with the cancelling of the button, because now I can move it. Oops. So there it is. Now if I select it, well, anyway, but you can see how it, no, there's still some vagueness over there for sure. So let's move on, but at least you can see how you do the tracking and how you do the non-tracking version of this, right? So let me turn this display on. Now for some weirder stuff that I found out, and that's why the second monitor is there. So this is basically doing it in video, blah blah. Now the thing I was wondering about, what happens if you connect an external monitor? And as we know, if you do an external monitor, then on 4K your main screen goes off, right? So, and there we got into some interesting results. So now I have to turn my camera a bit. You see that I already have, I'm not sure if this is sharp and I don't care too much, that I put an Atmos next to it to show you that it's still working. So I can indeed do the focus pulling and both monitors will be active. We know this because in 1000p it will do that. Let me record it just to make sure. So, well, basically if you're using external recorder, you're not recording it. So that's the good news, I guess. Alright, so there's the other one, and if I focus here, you can see the focus pulse here, and if I do it there, you can see the focus pulse there. Makes perfect sense still, right? Now, let's go into 4K, because then it got a little bit tricky, but maybe not a problem now that I think about it. I have to ponder a bit about this. So, let's go to if we put it into 4K, right? Now, of course, my screen goes less active. Well, it should come back, hopefully. Yeah, there it is. So we got a screen here, and we got a screen there that we can record, right? So what you are seeing now is that the touch to focus, hopefully still works. Yeah, it still works, right? So both on the internal and the external screen is working. And we are now basically already sending 4K out over the wire, right? So that's, I'm guessing, the good news. It's now exporting the 4K, but the moment that I hit record, so just to prove that this one is still working, right? So I can do touch to focus. Why is this important? If you have an external recorder, then you're fine, right? You have an external recorder, you can still do touch to focus, and you can see on your main screen what you are doing. It gets a bit more tricky the moment that you hit record, because what happens now, as you all know, is that this one will be staying working, but the main one will go blank, right? And indeed, what happens, I hit record, so that one is still active, but that one now is blank. It goes into, well, we know which mode it goes into, but I hope that you already noticed that the focusing point is still active. So I can still do autofocus, so I can do a pull to that object downstairs, which you can't see because I don't want to zoom. I can't zoom out. I have a prime on there, so I can't zoom out. But you kind of have to guess where you are, which is, I wouldn't say it makes it useless, but it's less than handy. But this is the situation you're going to get when you want to do 4K, but with an external monitor, right? Because there's no way to keep it active another way. So let me zoom to the other one, just to show that indeed it's still working. So I'm now zoomed into the far away object, and I know kind of where the object is, so that's okay, I guess. So you can see that I now focused in on the, you can't see it, but let me, yeah, I'm not sure if I want to turn the monitor down, but let me just hit the top object, right? So I'm hitting it over there. So now hitting a lower object again, which I can't see anymore, right? But if I hit the top object, which kind of can guess where it is, so let me hit it again, there it is, it will be in focus. So yeah, another problem that we are getting if we go into 4K internal recording thing. So this is one blow against doing 4K with external monitor with a touchscreen, because, well, the touchscreen still works, but you can't, yeah, it's not easy to navigate to the point that you want. Now, what is of course possible, although it doesn't show you the focus point, because otherwise you would be recording it, right? So there's no easy workaround. I guess what you can do, and I guess sometimes that's acceptable, that if you know where your objects are, you can sort of go there and hit on focus. Yeah, less than perfect, right? Less than perfect. Because there's no way to make the touchscreen work with 4K recording if you want to use an external monitor. Now it does work, so let me stop it. If you want to have an external recorder, because the moment that I stop it, my internal screen sort of pops back on, right? And the monitor is just being a monitor. And as I already showed you before, it also works perfectly if you are using not 4K. Now another thing I found, which might be related, look what happens if I now try to select lock to focus. Again, I have to, ta-da! An interesting error. So the moment that I'm using HDMI out and I want to do lock to focus, it does not work anymore. So in a way we're happy that lock to focus works, but it does not work on when you have a monitor attached. So that's quite a biggie, right? Since there is no way to work around it. I'm thinking about this, but I don't think there's a way around it. The moment that you attach an external monitor only in 4K, you can't do touch to focus anymore on the main screen. Let me check if only touch to focus does not work. I'm guessing that's true, or that you also can't. Yeah, the weird thing is you can move the focus point like this, and that actually works. Let me try it again. You can see me doing it, hopefully. Yeah, so there it is. So, yeah, weirdness, right? Oops, now I'm zooming in, sorry. So let me also see if I can drag. Yeah, I can still drag it. So it does work for normal actions, which makes sense, but not for lock-on focus. Yeah, I'm guessing this is also a CPU limitation or something that they overlooked. Although the warning suggests that it doesn't work. Maybe it has never worked. I could check on the a6500 if lock-on focus with an external monitor works on 4K. Yeah. Anyway, I think this is, let me see how long the recording is. We are already, where's my recording time? 16 minutes. So let me also talk a little bit about other focusing or touchscreen functions. So more about pictures. I think at least for the video you kind of see where the problems areas are. So to pictures, let's go there. So, well, let me keep the screen like this, so not really a bad point. So let me put it in aperture mode and remove the external monitor before it sort of drops somewhere. So let me put it away in a safe place. So there it goes. So for picture mode, right? For picture mode, it's kind of the same, but some things are different, right? So can I use touch to focus? Yes, I can. You see automatically now just jump to this lock-on mode, but you can see, whoops, that we can use it to lock focus. Now there's a difference here that I am using normally back button focusing, so the moment that I hit my back button, the focus button, you see it snapping to that area, right? And this also works if you're using the EVF, right? So then only half of the screen works, or a quarter of the screen, or your whole screen. You can set it up because your face is over here and you can scroll there. Lock-on focus also works, so again, same logic, you turn it on, you hit the screen, but now there's difference that if you do it like this, right, it automatically now locks on without me sort of having to hit the back button, right? But if I put it in, I think I can stop this cancelling function because I had it in a different mode before. But you can kind of see that it's working. Now one remark that is good to mention now is the speed of this, right? There were some comments, and I think rightly so. Let me turn the lock on off. That there's a speed difference between this and this. So you see that this has a certain lagginess over it. Well, in video mode, so let me go back to video mode. It seems to be, well, yep, that's not video mode. So that's video mode. You see that it's much, well, I would not say much smoother, by the way. So that's kind of interesting. It looks the same to me, to be fair. So, yeah, maybe it's a bit faster, but it seems to be, there's certainly certain differences depending on setup, how it seems to react on the speed side. I think this is just optimization, and I also think this is quite workable. I don't think it's a massive problem, to be fair. Maybe if you're tracking certain objects and you want to use a touchscreen for that, to me that doesn't make any sense to begin with. So same sort of features in picture mode. Now in the review mode, the only thing that you can do, so let's go to a picture, let's take a picture, that probably makes more sense. So let's take a picture and then review it. So now here, there's some discussion that you can't pinch to zoom, and that's quite an interesting one. So what you can do is click on the picture and it zooms in and you can sort of check focus, right? Click again, this is the normal, what you expect on a phone. Now you can't go to the next one, you can't go to the previous one, maybe they will implement it. There's almost no other interactions that you can do. You can just sort of do this, check your focus. You can probably also click on the correct point. Yeah, so that's at least something. You can click on the correct area you want to check the focus on. All right, so in this case I want to check focus on that. Nope, that was not my focus point. I was focusing on this, and that indeed was in focus. So that works. One thing which I think they didn't do and makes sense to me is pinch to zoom. And the reason why I'm saying this, notice what happens if I do this, right? So all the talk about pinch to zoom is very interesting, but remember the sensor is also there for the screen. So it might work in this situation, but the moment you do something near your screen, and it happens quite quickly because I'm now sitting quite low, but if you're in a normal position, I think the pinch to zoom is a mistake unless they change the software somehow to counterbalance that. Otherwise, to me, it does not make too much sense, and I think the double tap in the correct area, then checking and double tapping out is actually a very good way to do it, because that's why you want to use it anyway, right? You want to double tap. It also works in your viewfinder, so I think that's okay. Now it's true that there are some things with the touchscreen which simply don't make sense. I already showed you one. I think if you're here and you are turning this on, why is this not a double tap? Right? Why do I need to have it like this? Because it was already irritating before. It's much more irritating if you do it in combination with touchscreen, because you're doing the touchscreen and then you have to press the button again and then go back again. It just doesn't make any sense, right? Well, you can see that it now changes the touch to focus point. But if I want to cancel this, it's not like one action. I have to do one action and then sort of do an interaction. Well, to me it makes perfect sense if I hit it twice, or if I press it longer, right, like this, then it will automatically toggle to the other mode. So I think there are quite a few things they can smooth out. So the last thing I want to show, and maybe I'm forgetting something, but I think it's an interesting one, but I have to turn the camera. So since they have a gyroscope, they at least in one place already started using it. The gyroscope, of course, is for the IBIS. But at least maybe the developer was already fooling around with it to see what it could do with it. But at least if you turn the camera, it flips your picture. So that's proof that at least that's hooked up and they can do something with it. They decided to only use it in this mode. So if you take a picture and you turn your camera in the review mode, it will automatically go to the correct one. And they even were, I'm not sure if it's smart. In fact, you can doubt a bit, but if I do it fully completely, it flips it over in the correct position, which I'm not sure if is smart, but at least they are doing it. So if you hold your camera for whatever reason upside down, at least it will automatically flip them for you into the correct mode again. Now it would be interesting if they do this live also with the picture. Let's check, maybe they do. That would be pretty cool. I doubt it, but let's see. No. It also doesn't make any sense because you want to see what the camera is seeing, but well. Again, that's kind of the last thing I want to show. We are probably out of focus now because I moved the camera about. This is basically, I think, all I can tell you about the touchscreen. I think it's quite a workable implementation. Of course, the menus are not working, and we knew this, and I think everybody who was guessing that would work is just, well, it's too early. They need to do a total redesign. Yes, it gets a little bit frustrating now because sometimes it pops up a warning with a big sort of button and you think you can press it and you can't, but I think it was unrealistic to expect.